What is up, all my beautiful people? This is Breaking the Cage for April. Daggone it. It's for March 30th through April 5th. And this, I really feel like it's a spectacular week. I don't come out and say that much, but I feel like this can really be the beginning of a good thing. But that really all does depend on your path and where you're at. But there's so much here to talk about. I always pre-record this show. I'm trying to work out to where I can start getting back to doing it live, but I'm telling you that I'm pre-recording it because I'm recording it right now as the eclipse is coming to an end, the solar eclipse. So I've been pulling in energy from that as well. And of course, the show will go live tonight, but that reminds me of where I'm trying to take this. It's because, I mean, these things don't just happen. I mean, you're having Neptune this week move into Aries the day after, even if it's a partial solar eclipse. This is all about, and I always warn you guys, it's always about cycles upon cycles upon cycles. There's never just one cycle going on. No, you might be ending a cycle, but you still have, you know, in the middle of some other cycles, or other ones are slowly coming to an end. That's all about astrology and energy in general. Understand you're never in the process of one simple cycle. There's always lessons upon lessons. With that being said, you have the eclipse that just took place. And with Neptune moving, this is a big deal. So I always say with eclipses, this is a 6-month, like you're setting the direction for a 6 months, according to what's going on with you in your life at this time, what you're overcoming, what you're ignoring, what is your path? Where are you? What's going on? And it's kind of like a snapshot of, well, this is what we're looking at and how we're moving forward. It gives you a path, a direction, or it's showing you where the direction is way taking you off in the wrong direction. And I say that because this is what Spirit just gave it to me. Basically, when we hit these cycles and these cycles begin, it's kind of, I get it now. It's one of those that you always have free will, but as soon as you choose that free will, it's like a new path, a new direction has already been calculated for you. So like when your guides or angels, however you want to see it, come in and stuff, or even better example, you've heard so many times before, you know, that when you die or something, that your family know that you're going to die. I mean, like on the other side, and that they would meet you, or your guides and so forth. The point is the other side's aware. But being a shaman who deals with psychopump, I'm also very aware that things happen sometimes which just throw the whole bang and caboodle, or whatever you want to call that, off. Because sometimes, you know, there's a pile up on the interstate. Sometimes something horrible happens and there's an unexpected death. And this is where we have to deal with in psychopump, helping the dead to get out of the between, helping them to move on properly. I'm going back and explaining all that because what I'm saying is Spirit gave me that when we have these cycles and these cycles begin, ultimately it's like a snapshot of, okay, this is the new path directing, and all things will redirect according to that path that you've chosen in the direction you're going, until you have another bigger situation that might be taking place of free will that alters and creates a new snapshot. So This isn't your regular moon phase, which is just month, new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon. And it's not the equinox and it's not the solstices. Eclipses are a 6-month phase, period. Until they start their next set of 6-month phases. And typically, and that's when the snapshot's being taken. Well, I'm explaining that because with Neptune moving as super slow as it is, it's just amazing how the day after the eclipse, Neptune moves in to Aries. And it hasn't been in Aries since 1861, the day the Civil War started. Now, I'm not trying to put fear mongering on here, or however you say that word. But history has a way of repeating itself until the lessons get learned. I mean, and let's face it, a lot of the Civil War was dealing with the slavery. That's that. We are talking about reclaiming our power, coming back into true consciousness. And that right there is funny. But I'll explain that when I get there. Starting to come back into our power, starting to come back into our flame, our fire, our claiming of our power, not just being hive mind mentality. And I've been saying for years that with what was coming, as you've heard a million times, the age of Aquarius, that, you had to start destroying that age of Pisces before you'd start feeling any of the age of Aquarius. Now, this has a big part to do with what is to come and how we're setting that direction. But this is not just a cycle beginning of 6 months. This is also kind of like assessing the situation, because Neptune's not going to just remain in Aries. No. Neptune is only going to be here temporarily before it retrogrades back into Pisces. And then it comes back into Aries for its stay, where it will remain until like 14 years. Neptune came into Pisces on April 4th of 2011, 14 years ago. This is one of our slowest moving planets. But more importantly, to get to where I was getting to, this is your planet of magic. Your planet of all that you could and can't imagine that you are. This is where fantasy meets you with harsh reality. This is where you create the dreams, but it's also illusion, delusion, fantasy, subconscious, and that is the key. We don't realize how much. I mean, we talk about creating our own realities, and we talk about the collective consciousness, and we talk about being conscious of ourselves, of our soul energy, of our ascending spiritual maturity, of what we're growing and inspiring to get back to the true us. But I've said for years, if you realized how much of your life acts upon your subconscious, which you're unaware of, which you do inhabit, you have more manifestation and magic in your unconscious, your subconscious, than you do your consciousness. That right there is the key. Your subconsciousness rules truly about 90% of your life. And your consciousness, you only have and activate typically with properly about 10% of your brain. Now speeding us back up here into, as we're trying to move into the age of Aquarius, we're seeing all of these things change. All of these people are becoming more awakened. We're starting to get into our spiritual truth, our uniqueness, our authentic selves, and trying to get back to the soul collected part of what we are, the essence of everlasting, dust in the wind, that is and has always been you. Where the direction that this is going in the spiritual growth, the soulful growth, is all about making that consciousness more aware of the subconscious, bringing them into one, so it's not subconscious energies anymore. You're truly working with playing the game right. You're truly tapping in to the collective of source. But that has a lot to do with us being aware and learning what that subconscious depths are. Like I said, Neptune's only going to be here also for 6 months, because it's going to retrograde back into Pisces, where it's going to finish up its little bit of last loose ends that it hasn't cleared up. And then it will move back into Aries and start this cycle for good. So anything that you get on top of right now and you get ahead of, that's awesome. But you got to really understand this energy a little bit better. Not to mention, in the human blueprint, as Neptune moves out of Pisces, your body may be going through some funky little detoxes, because this is a moment within the cycles of consciousness versus subconsciousness. This is facing things head on versus completely ignoring them and avoiding them. This is where you're going to also start to see in the next year an even bigger divide in people versus their spiritual ascension and growth and truly coming into claiming that power and being responsible for their lives, their soulful connection, their dignity, and taking responsibility with all of that, versus ignoring, avoiding, and addictions. Because Neptune's a funky little freaky deek that way. Let me help you remember. Your subconscious speaks to you of habits. This is often what I say is that universal sixth house, ruled by Virgo on a universal scale. It's the detail-oriented, anal retentive Virgo. But the sixth house is our habits. It's our daily mundane tasks. It's our daily routines. It's where we manifest the most from. But it's your habits. This all goes through your subconscious. You wake up every day and we do so many things because it's repetitive, whether it's healthy or not. Whether you don't have to have somebody tell you you need to eat. You know you need to eat. There's things that we do that is so well programmed. Your subconscious is programming. It is the protective actions, how and what your actions are, how it is that you choose to react. This is already subconsciously programmed in you. It is your long-term memory. It is the seat to your psychic abilities. But this is all so well hidden inside. It's the law of attraction itself. It's your beliefs, your habits, your emotions, your values, your fears, your self-image. This is all part of your subconscious. That's 90% of habit lifestyle, habit actions, habit programming. Instead of consciously awareness choosing to make those decisions, because your consciousness typically only deals with your willpower, your short-term memory, your thinking, your planning, your logic, and your analysis. What is happening in the now? What's that song? It's my life, and it's now or never. This is what the Neptune is coming in to teach. Go all the way back to 1861, Civil War, slaves trying to reclaim their power. That never should have happened. But there's always a way that the world tries to repeat itself and gaining power. And I'm not saying that in a positive way. I'm saying that in the most disgusting that we all know. But what I am saying is as we're coming into our awareness, our true taking responsibility for the subconscious actions and reprogramming ourselves, you create magic. And you make the changes and you start to step into the new world that we're trying to create. Now, Neptune itself speaks to us of intuition, spirituality, your dreams, your illusions, the subconscious energies. But before I get into the blueprint, I wrote something earlier, I think it was yesterday, and I'm pulling it up because, like I said, you're going through a form of a detox. We're purging, we're getting rid of energies. And as Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, 14 years, this is a 14-year cycle you're closing. Your body may also go through some detoxing of what it's been used to from having Neptune there as it's moving. And Pisces, it typically speaks to us of our feet and understanding that the energies and your chakras may be acting up when such a planet moves. But I'm going to speak to you first about the Pisces energy, then get into the Aries energy of this Neptune moving. Not to mention this week also, Neptune has moved into Aries, but on the 30th, but you still have Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde still within 10 degrees of this. So that is a superpower of a beginning and an ending of a cycle at the same time. Superpower right there, and everybody's got something to say to it. But let me get back to where we're looking at pieces of the blueprint right now. We're just looking at the Neptune. It represents the feet. The feet is in Pisces, also representing some of our lower level ego energies from our lower chakras, the chakras of consciencelessness. So your feet also are connected with all of your organs and all of your chakras. So it is access that Neptune is taking away from the feet and it's moving into the head. But your feet may be speaking to you about things that you have done that aren't in the healthiest for you. Whether it's in the chakras because it's connecting with an organ, or just stubbing your toe, twisting your ankle, something along that line. But more importantly, what most people don't think of is Pisces itself is also connected with perspiration. Speaking of hot flashes, thinking of sweats, this is in a form sweating out the detox. You are losing, which is good. You are detoxing and getting rid of things that no longer serve you. Neptune is removing it out. So you may be feeling the sweats, but with this is like I said, it is a detox. It is a purge. It is a ridding of energy. It is asking you to, for one, make sure that you are having, as we're working through this change, so you can be the best you can be, make sure that you are staying hydrated. Make sure that you are drinking or eating foods with electrolytes. Because for one, not everybody realizes the hydration, having enough water, and having the electrolytes have a lot to do with your DNA upgrade, with your cellular rejuvenation, with cellular division, so that the vibrational upgrade can take place. So you ultimately are sweating out like a detox, just not drugs. You're sweating out unhealthy energies. Okay? Or at least some of you may be. It deals with perspiration. So like I said, feeling dehydrated, the hot flashes, the hot sweats. It deals with the lymph nodes. It deals with colds. In general, it's colds. It says diseases also that deal with discharging of energy and the lymph nodes. Now, Neptune is moving into the brain. So this is taking things into a different level. It's leaving your feet. It's moving into the head. It will be coming right into the biggest part of the brain, the biggest lobe of the brain, which I will talk about that in just a second. But it is going to be dealing with the brain in general. This is the way you think, your actions, your motor skills, the way that you view the world, the way that you are programmed in your brain already, versus being able to change the programming and tap into the third eye. So this is allowing for more awakening to also start to take place and move into a new place. Okay? But Neptune itself is also typically seen to be responsible for a lot that goes on with the third eye in general, but it is also associated with your glands, your lymph nodes, and your thyroids. And these are known to be in the psychic and the spiritual world as highly psychic energies. Okay? It is dealing with them, and you have lymph nodes and thyroids throughout the body. So it's not in just one spot. These are energies that are throughout the body that are acting especially more potently with Neptune making this change, but especially in the head and the neck, because you have lymph nodes all around your neck, which is connecting to the brain or the head in general. It is dealing with your hormones. It is dealing with adrenal glands. It is dealing with hold on. That's mainly what it's dealing with is Neptune in the brain, affecting it in that way. But it's also important to remember Neptune is fantasy versus harsh reality. So it's speaking to us also about where we're creating, really creating, taking responsibility for your subconscious and becoming conscious about the subconscious so that you are truly in power. But Neptune also speaks to us, especially when we talk about it being in Pisces, about the dreamy idea, the avoiding, the running away and ignoring it. Fantasy hits you in the face with harsh reality. And this is talking about drugs, alcohol, things along this nature, unhealthy habits of false ideas, allowing that magic to recreate and recreate and recreate, which is taking you nowhere. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. This is why I said you're going to start to see a divide as people decide where they are dealing with their Neptune as they move forward, especially next year. But you will be noticing it in the next 6 months before it steps back into Pisces again, because Aries is about your character, is about how you view the world. It is about your identification, how you identify with yourself and the world around you, how you view it, how you see it, how you think it. Is also, actually it's an alpha energy, but one thing also is Aries is a me first energy. It is very fire, action, now. Aries is not good with follow through, and Neptune needs the follow through. So this is something you are going to have to keep staring down. Like I said, this is about facing things or ignoring them and avoiding them. This is coming into "that's my life" and reclaiming that power of yourself and that dignity and that character, and applying all of that Neptune into the magic that's you, or addiction and habits. Even though we're going into Aries, it's going to re-identify who you're choosing to be and where you're taking it. When we look at the rest of the blueprint for this week, you have Neptune, which is moving into, like I said, the biggest part of the brain, which is literally dealing with your motor skills, your language, your decisions, how you're able to do that. It's going to be here for a hot freaking minute. And it is also setting with a fixed star of Mars. Fixed star ruled by the energies of Mars. So this is definitely putting that warrior, that aggressive power into making the new changes. And taking that power and acknowledging it and trying to work through it. But you've got to remember, Aries energy burns out when it gets bored. So this is about not getting bored. You have the sun, which is literally on the lateral lobe, which is your taste, your touch, your smell, your vision, your writing, your reading. This is all part of your brain. All connecting with how are you going to connect with your third eye? What wonderful power will you breathe up? By not allowing the subconscious to be the ruler anymore. By making them work together and being in control of that. Being able to pull it up like looking it up in Google. Chiron has moved on to the cheeks. So this is more about your breathing and your speaking. Being able to make facial expressions, breathing, speaking, moving of the mouth. That has a lot to do with what the cheeks are about in general. Uranus is still on the jaw. So this is, again, speaking, breathing, eating, talking. All of that is going to coincide with what's going on right here in the head where Neptune is moving. Now you have Jupiter, which is Uranus. And this is on the lungs. How are you breathing? How are you feeling? What are you breathing in? Are you breathing in healthier energies? Are you breathing in frustration, denial, paranoia? Mars is in Cancer, your digestive system. Everything that you're going through, you are digesting. That's why I always call it an energy diet. It's not just your food that you eat, the people, places, and things that you are a part of. This is an energy diet. What are you doing with it? The habits that is so mundane that you overlook it. Your daily routines, your energy diet, healthy or unhealthy, and seeing past the subconscious programming here. You have Pisces, still has Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Nessus, Ceres, and the North Node. 5 planets there that Neptune's just walking away from. But like I said, it's still incredibly close to Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde. The sensitivity come back. It came back. Yay. Okay. I don't know what happened. It got knocked out. Sorry about that, but it's back. So, Moon, you have going through this week from March 30th through April 5th. The moon's going to move through Aries. So you're going to have the moon and the sun with Neptune. It's going to cross right over it, going through Chiron, Aries, and Neptune in the sun. Aries is the goddess of discord, trouble, toil, strife. Chiron is the wounded healer, trying to address the change in the character of the programming of what we were told we were versus who we really are, and overcoming this healing is part of what we're looking at. Then it moves into Taurus. The moon is going through your independence, your individuality, uniqueness, your liberation, or your dignity, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, identifying with that. Then it's going into Gemini, communication, up close and personal. Everything is abundant here, speaking with Jupiter. Then into Mars, where you're getting into your 4th house, your inner emotional security. And secure, do you feel secure? But as we're getting into the actual week, like I said, everything this week is about Neptune, Venus, and Mercury. Everybody is talking to them. You do have a very uncomfortable yod. Not many people talk about this because this is one of the harder yods. You don't see them as often. It's not very... A yod in the first place isn't easy. It is a creator moment. It's like touched by God. That's what it is considered, a finger of God. But there's 3 different kind of yods, technically. And the one that we have this week is probably the most difficult of them. But before we get into that, it's Neptune, Venus, Mercury is speaking with Pluto in very positive energy about showing the world who you are, stepping into that, becoming it, showing it, getting over your uncomfortability and reclaiming, using that Neptune in Aries for a new beginning. You have a superpower going on with Lilith here in the 8th house, Scorpio, birth, death, rebirth, relationships, taking responsibility for them, setting new boundaries. You have a very powerful energy going on with Mars, the 4th house, claiming that power, your inner warrior, your inner security, your inner belly dancer. Like I said, this is about being comfortable in your own skin, comfortable and finding out and discovering yourself is here inside. It's not this meat suit. can't be taken from you. You're everlasting. But believing in it, breathing it, knowing it, being it. You have very powerful energy going on with that Neptune, Venus, Mars, starting a new cycle, bringing out the healing to Uranus, finding that dignity, stepping in that power, not being a doormat. And then it is speaking with Mars too. Not being a doormat, not being the possession of someone else, but being the possession of yourself. The only thing it's not getting along with is the South Node, which technically is a good thing. That is, the South Node is everything that you're good at, but it's no longer good for you. It doesn't serve you anymore. Having relationships where all you want to do is keep everybody happy, to keep them there, to not cause a fight, to not start trouble. This is about, I'm sorry, but sometimes, I say all the time, I say it all the time, in Libra, energy is about balance, harmony, and justice. But sometimes trying to force balance and harmony in an area where it don't belong, you are creating an injustice. If it doesn't belong, it can't get fixed until you start to see the true balance and justice that needs to take place. But what is the most challenging this week is that Yod. You have Pluto, your groups, your memberships, your committees, your outer world. Does it support who you want to be, your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, where you're trying to go? It is speaking directly with Lilith in the 8th house about being able to rebirth, rejuvenate, change. Speaking directly with Jupiter in the 3rd house, up close and personal, abundance, higher knowledge. But it all has to do with, how are you going to communicate it? What are you going to say about it? Are you going to charm it? Are you going to bite its head off? Like I said last week, there is a God complex coming in. Are you doing this from a divine perspective, by knowing yourself on that divine level? Or is it from a threatened, I'm afraid to lose? Where will you take it? I love you guys. Bye.